So I define preschool a little bit differently than a lot of people. A lot of people, because they have an academic perspective about preschool, they either dive into it focused on academics or they put it off because they think it has to be academics.
I want to talk about the preschool years. And I know this is something that you're super passionate about, and just what development looks like in those years. Like I said, so many of us have, well, not us, I don't have preschoolers anymore. I wish I did. I see them running around all over the place, especially at our co-op. And I'm like, oh, I miss those years. I miss those little tiny feet and, hanging on to mom's leg. But the preschool years are so important. And I think oftentimes we kind of just brush over them and think, oh, they really don't matter all that much developmentally. We're when we focus on homeschooling, we focus on the elementary years and the middle school years and the high school years when it comes to what we're teaching our kids.
Mhm.
So talk about the preschool years and why those years are so very important developmentally to our kids.
Sure. Well, I found that there's kind of two schools of thought when it comes to the preschool years. One school of thought is very much what you described, maybe not putting a lot of thought into it or intentionality into it, just kind of having them be a tag along with everything and just kind of letting, them catch what they can. And then there's also the school of thought that's a lot more intensive that wants to start the academic aspects of the preschool years very early and has a lot of expectations for what their preschoolers should be doing in like academic subjects. So I define preschool a little bit differently than a lot of people. A lot of people, because they have an academic perspective about preschool, they either dive into it focused on academics or they put it off because they think it has to be academics. And so, I just kind of put forth in what I wanted for my own sons after having homeschooled my girls and kind of gone through those early years with them. And kind of, I have this big gap between like my younger daughter and my older son. There's a 9-year gap. So I had a lot of time to think about this. And
Yeah.
I had a lot of like, well, if I ever got the chance to do this over again, this is what I would do differently. And my younger daughter, I had to teach her how to read and everything and did preschool with her. And she has multiple learning disabilities. So I had a lot of regrets. It was a steep, steep, steep learning curve with her. And it helped me to realize that teaching your child the ABCs and one, two, threes in preschool is absolutely unnecessary. It just is. Like your child's going to learn how to read, some very easily and some not so easily at all, but they are going to learn how to read. They're going to learn how to do math. And when we believe that the preschool years are about those things, then we really shortchange them in the areas that it's really about. So the preschool years have to be a lot more about their emotional intelligence and their spiritual development and discipling them because the ideas and worldviews that begin to be shaped when a child is 3 and 4 and 5 years old, those stick with them. It doesn't mean that they can't be changed, but it is wise to start wisely in the early years instead of letting them just pick up whatever because they're a tag along or trying to shove them into academic rigor that is they are not developmentally ready for yet. Like a child's eyes are really not ready to be staring for a prolonged period at words and trying to decipher words and stuff at that age. Like it actually can cause them to need glasses later on. There's a lot of things that kind of play into like how their hands, I think we've all seen maybe on social media the drawing or the x-ray of a 4-year-old's hands compared to an 8-year-old's hands and how their hand is so structurally different that it's not really appropriate for them to be spending very much time using a pencil or something along those lines. Now, there's nothing wrong with like spending 5 minutes a day on, A says ah and those types of things, but that should be an afterthought, something that's incidental as you're going throughout your day. It should not be the core focus of the preschool years because the preschool years are about teaching our children to know God and to know themselves and to know the world around them and other people. That's the foundation of them becoming good people, and good citizens and disciples of Christ more than anything, not knowing the alphabet And so just having a right understanding of what the preschool years really should be, that it should be about meeting them where they are developmentally and working on them as people, enlivening their souls, as Charlotte Mason says. If we have a right understanding, then we can have a right approach. And that means to not ignore the preschool years like they're not there, and not make the preschool years, about trying to get your child graduated by the time they're in the 6th grade. Like the
Yeah.
preschool years are about shaping their souls
Yeah.
and ordering for them the world around them, and bringing all the chaos of the world into order in front of them, and helping them to take their thoughts captive and speak kindly and understand who they are and who their neighbor is and who God is and how this all works. And we really can't stop. We can't start doing that too young. And so once our child is potty trained and they're feeding themselves some, and they're able to like have pretty good language skills where they can repeat back sentences and all those types of things, that's when we can start being like, okay, like I've got those foundational being a human being things done. What's next? Well, the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s don't have to be next. They shouldn't be next.
Right.
What's next is, now my little person is really personing. How do I help them become the fullness of who they are and who God created them to be?
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.